Kindred, welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Ranking Member Cantwell, Senator Gardner. I appreciate the opportunity to address the committee today regarding the implementation of ANILCA and the role that it has played on oil and gas development in Alaska. In reality, oil and gas operations in Alaska are somewhat academically and practically removed from traditional ANILCA issues. However, that is simply because ANILCA issues affecting industry are often resolved, for better or worse, absent private sector involvement. Nevertheless, ANILCA has, over the past 35 years, effectively dictated the scope of natural resources development in Alaska. It is vital to understand that ANILCA represented substantial congressional and ideological compromise, acknowledging that considerable conservation withdrawals could not be achieved without also accommodating the interests of the state of Alaska and Alaska Natives. As to the former objective, ANILCA effectively doubled the size of the nation's national park and refuge systems and tripled the amount of land designated as wilderness. And although issues remain on the periphery, this must be considered a great success from an environmental standpoint. However, as to the other primary goal of ANILCA, 35 years later, the optimism of those who drafted ANILCA is starkly contrasted by numerous examples of the subsequent erosion of Congress's vision of a collaborative, unique, and balanced legislation. Now, it is impossible to discuss ANILCA's proposed endeavor of protecting the economic and social needs of the state of Alaska and its people without discussing oil and gas development. Historically, proceeds from oil and gas development provided billions of dollars to the state of Alaska, representing nearly 90% of the state's unrestricted general revenue. ANILCA does play a substantial role in the industry in Alaska, if for no other reason it dictates those lands available for exploration and subsequent development. Of course, it would be imprudent to discuss the interplay of ANILCA and oil and gas development without mentioning Section 1002, which mandated the coastal portion of the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge be studied and provided for a potential path to oil and gas exploration and development. In 1987, following detailed and comprehensive studies, the Department of Interior recommended opening the area for oil and gas exploration and development. And today, decades later, even absent congressional action, there's little room to debate the extraordinary resource potential of ANWR's coastal plain, which USGS estimates to contain over 10 billion barrels of recoverable oil. Regardless of ANWR's potential and politically charged status, it highlights the manner in which ANILCA discourages greater oil and gas exploration and development in Alaska. For if the federal government is not willing to sanction oil and gas operations in arenas congressionally envisioned for development, where the resource potential is known, what incentive does Alaskan industry have to broaden their search to areas of unknown resource potential? Another aspect of ANILCA that serves to undermine resource development pertains to Title 11. In the oil and gas context, the key examples pertain to proposals to transport North Slope natural gas to market. The Alaska Pipeline Project, or APP, a joint undertaking of ExxonMobil and TransCanada that would have resulted in a natural gas pipeline from the North Slope through Canada to Midwest refineries and markets, concluded that it could neither navigate the procedural requirements of ANILCA Title 11 nor successfully accomplish a land exchange. The APP is no longer a viable project, and plans for transporting North Slope gas have shifted to the Alaska LNG project, which is a proposal supported by ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, BP, and the state of Alaska. Alaska LNG is also struggling to envision a successful path through ANILCA Title 11 because a small 7-mile portion of the most direct pipeline route would follow the park's highway as it traverses Denali National Park. It is difficult to succinctly summarize the problems posed by ANILCA Title 11 for complex projects such as Alaska LNG. Generally stated, Title 11 establishes an inflexible and likely impracticable process for obtaining federal permits for complex projects such as APP and Alaska LNG. Title 11 establishes tight deadlines and mandates simultaneous application, environmental review, and permitting decisions in a manner that cannot be rationalized for a complex project proceeding through a phased design and financial approval process. A second significant issue is that Title 11 mandates additional substantive requirements that fundamentally alter the authority of any involved federal agency to condition or disapprove a proposed project. Under Title 11, each involved federal agency must make detailed findings regarding, among other things, economic feasibility, alternative routes, social, economic, subsistence, and environmental impacts, and public values. The result being that if merely one agency disapproves an application for the project is deemed disapproved in its entirety. These provisions render the process unduly unpredictable and risky. Nonetheless, these misgivings and issues, while crucial, do not represent an indictment of ANILCA. Rather, they serve to highlight that the design flexibility inherent to ANILCA has failed to come to fruition. In that vein, and as it relates to natural resources development in Alaska, I would advocate that federal agencies embrace the collaborative design found in ANILCA. We must strive to capture the balance originally envisioned by the drafters and not forget the broad concessions to development articulated in its provisions. Thank you.